Hey, what is good, guys? Chris here. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're talking about WWDC2020, which is the Apple software conference for developers that happens every year. It's usually happening at the Apple Arena or whatever it's called, that huge hall where everyone is getting there, all the tech freaks and software developers and everyone, they're all in that huge hall. But because of the pandemic, this happened online, so we all had access to it. For those of you who didn't, I am doing this. These are the highlights. It's the WWDC in a nutshell, so please stay with me for all the news that might interest you in iOS, ipadOS, watchOS, tvOS, and also macOS. Stay to the end for the final reveal because it's something new that you should know about it. It's something very important that I am very thrilled to find out that it finally happened. So let's start with the iOS. I'm gonna tell you things that, like I said, for every section that I feel they're important to you. First of all, in iOS 14, we're gonna have widgets that will be able to move on the screen, and we can put them whenever you want. You can have as many as you want on your screen, on your main window, actually, when you're open the phone. So not necessarily, you won't have to swipe to have the widgets. You can put the weather, you can put the clock, whatever, and just customize it to your hard content. Also, we're gonna have picture-in-picture, which means if you're watching any media, any movie, or whatever you're watching on your phone, you will be able to go into another app and still have the window with the movie or the clip running in a corner. You can move it all over the screen and still use the app that is now in the background, so it won't affect the fact that you are watching something. You'll still be able to watch, even take notes if you want to watch a course or something like that. We're gonna have audio messages with Siri, which means you now can dictate to Siri an audio message. Not necessarily dictate, but just send an audio message to someone through Siri. I'm not sure how that is gonna work, especially for us who are not native in English, and for Siri, it's hard to understand all the things that I'm saying because, like I said, I'm not native, but hopefully it's going to be improved. Siri will also have translate. It's a live translate. It's an automatic translate, so you will tell Siri whatever you want to tell the person that doesn't know the language that you're speaking, and Siri is going to translate in real time. So this is going to be useful for businessmen and travelers, for people like me, travel photographers who are going in different countries, and you need to survive. You need to know stuff, and have those people over there help you with stuff that you might need. So I am very happy to find out that they come up with that. Also, Safari was gonna have that feature as well, so you can read articles in any language. Now it's gonna translate in real time. When you're swiping, it's gonna start translating, and you're gonna have an article in your language instead of just trying to go on Google and do the translate. It's pretty much like the Google Translate, but hopefully it's gonna be better and it's gonna be more intuitive. This feature, it's also in an app. It's called Translate, and they're gonna have a separate app for it. You will be able to pin a very important message on your messages app on top of all messages. If you're doing a conversation that goes on and on for a couple of days and you want to have it all the time in front of you and know exactly what happened, you're gonna be able to pin it now on top of all messages. They do come up with a very crazy idea of having digital keys. For me, sounds like very futuristic to be able to unlock your car using your iPhone and not the fob or whatever key you have. If you'll be able to use your phone to start the car and enter the car, there are a lot of security stuff that might be taken in consideration, but the fact that they come up with that, it's great. I'm not sure how fast that's going to be implemented, but it's a new thing, and Apple just presented the way it's going to be. The new cars are going to have that feature. I'm not sure, and it's all about CarPlay, and I'm not sure how they're going to roll this back for other cars, or if they do that. Also, you're going to be able to share the key with friends or family. If they want to drive the car, you will be able to share that key, which again, it's a problem with security and privacy, but they probably decided that they have the exact tools to create a safe environment for doing that. Now that's pretty much for the iOS 14. In the iPad OS, we're gonna have the same thing, the widgets that you will be able to move all around your iPad and create the look that you want for your main screen. They also come up with a sidebar for the Photos app, and now you can easily manage and organize your photos in the app by just dragging them on the sidebar. You're gonna have all the folders and everything. The incoming calls are totally redesigned. That huge pop-up that comes on your iPad, and it's like an overlay that it blocks you from doing anything else than just rejecting or answering the call. Now it's gonna be like a very small notification bar on top of your iPad, and that will help you just go ahead and do whatever you're doing without being interrupted by a phone call. You can swipe up and reject the call, I believe, or just let him ring and don't mind it at all, or you can just reject it and answer it from that small bar on top of your iPad. We're gonna have a search overlay for apps and for everything pretty much, and it's gonna be a universal search as well that you can use if you're, let's say, renaming photos or documents. You can just use that search feature that it's just like a spotlight for macOS. It's gonna come up on the middle and you're gonna search whatever you need. We're gonna have search in pretty much all the apps, the native apps, in messages as well as in photos and all that stuff. They're also gonna bring the feature that Procreate has for a long time, when you are drawing a line and you're holding it and the app automatically straightens the line or the shape or whatever you're drawing. So we're gonna have a pretty much perfect drawing right now, and you can draw shapes, perfect shapes, not just scribble a shape or doodling one the way we did in the past. They're bringing Scribble to iPad, which is great now because you're using the Apple Pen and everyone is using one. You can write whatever you want to write, and the app Scribble is gonna translate it into writing text. It's probably going to be a lot of bugs, but still it's a good feature, especially for those who are using the iPad to take notes in class or to take notes everywhere. That's a very helpful feature. Now let's get to the AirPods. They're gonna get a new feature called Surround. It's a software feature that will help you have the same experience, like they say, like when you're in a theater and you're watching a movie on a big screen. They're creating surround software that will at least give you a little bit of a surround experience when you're listening music or watching movies or stuff like that on your iPad. Or I'm not sure if that will gonna be for the iPhone as well, but I believe it is, because it's just the AirPods that gets that software. Also, they're gonna automatically switch from a device to another. I did have some problems with mine when I was switching from my iPad to the phone, or the other way around, and they were not connecting. I have to disconnect them from the other device. Now they're gonna switch automatically, so if you're turning on the another device, automatically the AirPods will recognize the device and just connect to it. Now let's get to the Apple Watch. It's the Watch OS 7, and it's gonna have a lot of customization, faces and all that stuff. You're gonna be able to share faces with your friends if that's what you want, and if you know something, or if you want to design a face for a friend and you want to send it to him, now you're gonna be able to do that. It will also have a new feature when they're tracking your bike rides in the maps on your watch, which again is great for bikers, for people who like to go out and do biking all day. They come up with a new workout for dance. So now if you're dancing, you can track it as a workout, and it's gonna be included in the app. That it's not called activity anymore. Now it's gonna be called fitness, and I think it's a more proper name for an app that actually does that and it tracks your workouts and exercises. So now they're coming up with dance. If you start dancing, the app will gonna start tracking as a workout, or you have to set it up as a workout. I'm not sure, but nonetheless, the gyroscope is gonna detect all the movements of your hands and legs and body, and it's gonna register as a workout. Also, the watchOS is gonna get a new function for tracking your sleeping. It's gonna be hard because most of us were putting our watches to charge during night, because mine at least only holds for like 16 hours. It's an Apple Series 5 and it only holds 16 hours, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to track my sleep with it. Maybe Apple gonna come up with a software update that will reduce the battery consumption of these devices. They also do a washing hands detection. So when you're washing your hands with your watch, because of this craziness with the pandemic, they decided to come up with something pretty fun. So you're washing your hands and a counter is gonna start on your watch and tell you the 20 seconds that you need to wash your hands in order to be perfectly clean and remove all the bacteria and whatever you have on your hands. And that's required from CDC and WHO to wash your hands for 20 seconds. So this app might be fun, even if you have kids and you're washing your hands with them. It's gonna be fun to see exactly how much time you're washing your hands, and you have all kinds of sounds like bubbling, like water bubbling and all that stuff. Now the Home app doesn't have much to say about it. Apple Home, I'm not sure how many of you are using it, but there's so many Home apps on the market, and they're spread all over the spectrum. So if you are using the Home app, there are gonna be new features like face recognition for cameras controlled by the Home app, and that's great because you can just register some faces of your friends and family, and the app is gonna tell you when they're at the door and if someone else is at the door as well. Also, Apple said that they're collaborating with Amazon and Google to enlarge the area, the spectrum of the apps used by the Home app. I'm gonna go to macOS now and tell you that there is new macOS coming up. They said that all these features and all these updates are gonna come up in fall, probably with the release of the new iPhone, and I believe the macOS is gonna be a little bit later, but it's a new one coming. It's called Big Sur. So the new macOS is macOS Big Sur. They're gonna have a lot of features, a lot of changes. I didn't highlight everything, but there are icon designs, new designs, as well as dock changes. The dock is gonna float above your screen, above your background. I mean, there are gonna be new layouts. Also, they have a control center that is gonna come up just like on the ipadOS and iOS from the corner, and you're gonna have all the quick actions that you need on it. A notification center that comes up from the right. You can swap and see all the notifications now on the right of your screen. You can edit the widgets. You can have widgets and you can edit them. You can add whatever you want. They're gonna have search in messages as well as pin conversation in the messages app. There are new maps coming up for Mac. It's a new map app, totally improved with also indoor maps that can help you, for example, check if you want to go to an airport and you want to find the exact terminal, the exact location of your terminal. They're going to tell you exactly what it is. Safari, they say it's going to be 50% faster than Chrome with these new updates, and they also have extensions in Safari, which improves the quality of your browsing, because you can use those extensions, those apps actually, to improve the quality of your browsing and whatever you're doing in Safari. It also going to have the translate function that Siri has in the new app. It's going to be probably like an extension, and it's going to help you browse and check any articles in any language that will translate automatically in your language. The moment you're scrolling, it's gonna do a live translation, which is pretty good. I'm not sure how good it's gonna work, like I said, but you'll see. We're gonna leave to see how good all these changes are. There are a lot of customizations in terms of menus and all that stuff. They also have new icons in Safari. The tabs have icons now, so if you're opening tons of tabs, you're at least gonna have the icon and you'll know exactly what tab is which, and that is very helpful. And like I said, I'm gonna leave the good news for last, because that sounds sounds amazing. Apple apparently set aside from Intel, and they start building their own processors. So apparently this year we're gonna have our new Mac products with an Apple processor. It's called an Apple Silicon. It's a Z code, like the iPad has the X. So for MacBooks and Macs and iMacs, everything it's gonna be Z now. It's an Apple Silicon processor. That's how they call it, and I hope that this is something that everyone is gonna embrace, because like they said, it's gonna be a huge improvement in performance, and they're gonna consume less power, which is amazing, especially for laptops. That's what we all wanted to have. This processor said to be amazing for developers, because now they're gonna be able to develop apps for iOS and ipadOS and macOS as well, without having any restrictions. They don't have to port anything, or the going from an Bionic processor to an Intel processor. Things are different. So the only thing they have to do now is basically design one app for one of the systems, and it's gonna be available for all of them. The great thing is that all these SoCs by Apple, they're all over their entire range of devices. So now everything is compatible. Any app can be used on any of these devices, which is a great thing. Probably for those who are concerned of what's going to happen with the old apps that now have to be ported to the new interface, where it's not going to be that hard. They said they coming with Rosetta 2. If you remember in the past, when they actually did the transition from PowerPC to Intel, they have Rosetta. That was an app that helped all the transition be smooth and not having problems with the apps developed for Intel. And now having this Bionic processor, everything it's different, and everything changes, and all the architecture is totally different. But Rosetta 2, we're gonna help this transition be smooth and nice. They also said that Adobe and Microsoft have already apps ready for this new architecture. They have their Adobe Lightroom and Photoshop running on these Bionic processors, and also Office has their apps in the suite running on this processor, which is amazing. At least you have the essentials. It's gonna be a little bit of probably 3 to 5 years to adapt to this new thing, but definitely the most important stuff are going and they're running, and that's super important. Like I said, the chip is called A12Z, and it's gonna be in a one of the devices. I'm not sure what they're talking about, probably the MacBook Pro or just a MacBook that they want to try the A12Z by the end of the year. That's fast, and it is super important if you're asking me. Also, the Final Cut Pro, it's gonna run on the A12Z, and they did a demo on how it runs, how smooth it runs, as well as Photoshop and Lightroom and Office. So we're pretty much set. That's it. That's the new change. There is nothing else that I feel important for you guys to know. All these new ipadOS and iOS are going to be available in fall. I'm not sure if they were talking about the Big Sur as well, but starting fall, probably with the release of the new iPhone, these updates are going to be run by Apple. And that's it. This is WWDC 2020. I hope you guys enjoy this video, because it's all about news. I'm sorry if it's all over the place, but I'm trying to make it as fast as possible. For those of you who wouldn't be able to go and watch the live stream, please don't forget to share and like these videos. If you do, give them a thumbs up. It helps a lot with the algorithm, and it helps me, like I said, to know exactly where I am. Also, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell to be always notified when I'm putting videos up, and I will definitely see you in a bit.